is Barbara Lewandowska-Tomaszczyk. I'm going to talk today about interlingual and intercultural competences in digital and study abroad contexts. The focus is on native, non-native students' online collaboration, but also on direct contacts, both in terms of a digital transatlantic student collaborative project and Erasmus Plus study abroad sojourns, particularly to see how their attitudinal components towards foreign languages and cultures change, and how their plurilinguistic and pluricultural identities develop. All this is connected with the agenda of the European Union and Poland to boost professionalization, employability, quality assessment, competences via development of interculturality and digital skills. What is interculturality? I would say that this is an ability to function effectively across cultures, but also think and act appropriately and communicate and work with people from different cultural backgrounds, at home and abroad, people from different cultures, countries with different values, beliefs, and experiences. So intercultural competence would involve both skills and culture, attitudes, and communication. Identity, on the other hand, as we can see from this graph, involves a number of quite complex components: participation, purpose, role, community, integrity, culture, language, race, and a number of others. It is a continual process of becoming. As somebody said, always provisional, always subject to change. So it is dynamic. It is a dynamic, hybrid, multifaceted notion. Identity involves presence of the criterial concept of community, practicing the generally recognized systems, thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, and activities. Linguistic identity are those criteria that are held with respect to the use of linguistic signs, that is, forms, meanings, discourse strategies, interaction strategies, and some others. Cultural identity is a cluster of attributes and practices, linguistic too, but also sense of belonging to the community, relationship between self-identity and outside world practices of the community. The TAP project, that is the first focus of my talk today, is this transatlantic and Pacific project that developed into a very large, complex educational network, which embraces over 100 institutions in the United States and all other continents. It was originated by Bruce Myler from North Dakota State University and Sonia van de Putte from the University of Ghent in Europe. And it involves bilateral writing translation projects, translation editing projects, but also multilateral projects. So this network connects classes in writing, usability testing, and or translation. Why collaboration? Well, collaborative practices are connected with collective intelligence, wisdom of crowds, which is obviously more effective than efforts of individual, similar to bees and ants colonies. It is also connected with the development of interaction strategies. As we can read from after Michael Long, the role and significance of interaction in originally spoken discourse turns first of all, meanings and message to be more clarified and better comprehended. The exchanges facilitate first and second and foreign language and cultural learning strategies and their acquisition. Within this project, we started more than 5 years ago, a collaboration between native speakers of American universities and Polish non-native student teams exchanges, first of all on the written language production of both groups. First 3 years were the University of North Dakota, that was our partner, starting from throughout 2018-19 until now, it's the University of Minnesota students. In Poland, there have been 2 universities involved, the University of Łódź and State University of Applied Sciences in Konin. There are 516 students from both countries that have been engaged till I counted that till September 2020. Per semester, it's about 30 to 35 students from each university. There are typically 2 terms of the interaction. Apart from email contacts, regular email contacts according to a schedule, there are Facebook contacts, WhatsApp contacts, other communication that is not within our control, in fact, where you've got Polish MA students of English and translation, and last 2 years we've got also students of foreign languages in media and business. From the American side, there are students of writing classes, obligatory for all students at American state universities, studying technical, engineering, business subjects, and some social sciences topics. So the procedure is that students of one country, of each of the 2 countries, write essays, first, of course, according to planning, revision, composing, drafting, and send them to the third students from the other country. The other students send feedback. Also, the original students send them feedback on linguistic and discourse properties of the essays to achieve fuller comprehension. They answer, comment on these questions asked, connect via video communicators, revise drafts when needed, send final versions to their partners. There are typically 2 turns of intermediate message exchange and interim drafts. And then Polish students only translate essays into Polish, revise and finalize them. The 2 activities of Polish students, and one that is the exchange and the essays of the American ones, are graded. Usually in the second semester, both parties write instructions to perform different tasks. Send them to paired students. The paired students send their feedback. Several, typically 2 turns, take place in consecutive revised, modified drafts, and again there's this exchange, individual and group online talks, etc. Basing on the instructions, students produce these objects. Sometimes they're meals, dishes. They answer puzzles according to the instructions, make recordings of the activities, and then write reflective memories on the tasks and the exchange, and eventually their activities are graded. both in Poland and in the US. Polish students' proficiency is typical of the MA students, so it's either B1 or C1 levels, between intermediate and more advanced. US students are native speakers of American English. American students are usually first or second generation college students, generally of middle class background, as I said, humanities students. Types of feedback, well, we've got corrective recasts like direct corrections, providing correct forms, or metalinguistic feedback, which are formulated in out of text comments or in-text comments, but also there are these video interactions. Sometimes the metalinguistic comments are phrased and sent via email correspondence. Polish students additionally perform corpus-informed analysis, so concordances, collocational profiles, synonymity. They also perform a qualitative analysis of different events that are immersed in the text. So event construct, who is the agent, who are the addressees, what are the objects, what would the agents do to or with the objects, and so on and so forth. So we've got data from monolingual corpora, British and Polish corpora, parallel Polish to English and English to Polish corpora, but also media monitor corpora that grow every day. There are billions and billions of materials now. So again, collocation generators, synonym generation, antonyms, and contextual discussion. What do we observe here? We've got here transformations in student self-identity, a judgment, rise in their competences, rise of trust, openness, self-authorship, self-understanding. So the interaction helped a lot, in fact. What are the components? There are components such as capacity to internally define one's beliefs, identity, and relation, cognitive maturity, integrated identity, mature relationship, and criticality. Making native students and non-native students' texts more reader-friendly from the point of view of style, register, type of expression. In non-native students, we observe the syntactic uptake and consecutive draft versions which are better and better. So we also see the raising of students' metalinguistic awareness and adjusting their written text to international readers and functions. Both native and non-native students' awareness to other cultures and languages during the period of native text production and exposure their own text to non-native judgment. So I think the impact and the reactions are quite positive. Obviously, this is also an impetus for further activities, online crowdsourcing techniques to work on collaborative translation tasks, native, non-native student communities. Also, they sometimes work together on joint questionnaires for MA thesis, and they also answer each other's questionnaires. A few words about Erasmus Plus sojourns. I monitor them before they leave for another country, during their stay there, and then post-sojourn questionnaires. First of all, Erasmus programs give students opportunities to choose the subjects of their interests. So regardless of the main course program and the academic year, even though somebody was saying, I was a second-year student, I participated in classes with third or fourth-year students. Obviously, they also participate in the topics that are not within their main specialism. There are other positive outcomes of the students' visits. They observe rising employment opportunities. They say, I've met people from various cultures. Now it's easier for me to get the job in an international company because I know how to cooperate with people of different nationalities. But also, they talk about openness, courage, organizational sense, adaptability, curiosity. Multilinguality, yes. Some of the students already knew the second or third language. Some were taking part. In this particular case, I'm referring to the Spanish or Galician courses. Some were learning and teaching in tandems. So apparently some students decided to apply for a second language course, sometimes third language course, after being an Erasmus student. One of them noticed, I learned Italian. It was hard to make friends with Italians in general because most of them do not speak English. I don't know whether this is a fact, but still that was the student's voice. Language proficiency development. One student says, after 2 times on Erasmus, I definitely admit I can see the difference. The ability to listen, read, or write has become improved almost the same way at school and while being with other Erasmus friends. Although most of these Erasmus soldiers was not to an English culture country. So they went to most of the European countries, of course non-English speaking, to Turkey. One or 2 of them went to this international Erasmus exchanges to non-European countries. So they were even giving scales of the improvements on different skills. Now, cultural diversity, first of all, definitely it was culture and the atmosphere, one of them was saying. I felt that I was really in a completely different and more exotic place. And also other people were interested in the newcomers coming from Europe. But there were things students did not like. As far as I remember, that there are some things that I didn't like. It mainly comes from cultural differences and different religion, way of living of people in the world in general. The behavior of some of these people, mainly young men. Oh, this particular girl was a girl with long blonde hair, blue eyes, and light skin color, and she went to a more exotic country from this point of view. But at the first time I came, everything seemed so different and scary. And I used to changes, and I liked almost everything in the country. So this was not only on the cognitive basis, but also from the point of view of affective identities that transformed. From, indifference, sometimes fear, sometimes uncertainty. There are these changes towards positive identities, towards positive emotions, and generally more conforming affective sentiment. I realized, one of them said, that as a person from Poland, I don't take others that easy, especially newcomers, and I'm not that open. But I learned it a little bit after Erasmus, and now it comes more natural. So a kind of self-criticism. I mean, we, as she judges in Poland, are not particularly friendly to newcomers, and that has changed. Linguistic maturity, my ability of using the language improved, developed. Also, that is also an important fact, but one of them was saying, it was hard for me to just speak with people because I was shy. Again, emotional component. I was shy and afraid of making mistakes. So first of all, I fought with my internal fears. Of course, all of this is possible because there's this digital context. Now, in online interaction now, in the era of pandemics, we witness more and more digital challenges. Are we ready and able to cope with digital transformation? Are our tools, concepts, and methods fit? How can language policy be shaped to meet the conditions? So there are certainly steps that need to be taken. First of all, to instigate curiosity of the learners, noticing, then dialogue, inquiry, sometimes skepticism. So to boost intercultural competences in cross-cultural contexts. So we've got to develop personal, group, national identities. So this identity graph that I showed at the beginning, you know, with all those links that are now shown clearly to develop intellect, reflection, participation, cultural participation, also one's own culture, language, emotion, community, but also status, because you're getting more and more after the interaction. So we've got other ways to boost international cooperation by interactive digital narratives, collaborative crowdsourced story writing, translation, interactive platforms, multiplayer digital games. So the conclusions are that what we experience at present is clearly a way, path from analog to digital ways of language practice and education, that we develop direct face-to-face and primarily now digital contacts in intercultural contexts. Thank you very much.